There is only one party trying to establish religious rule in the United States, and it's the white Christian nationalists who have
Hmm.
put the Ten Commandments in classrooms, who have said that they don't think women should be allowed to vote, that that vote belongs to their husbands, right? The
Hmm.
people who do not want a division of church and state are the ones who are leading this charge. It isn't the Al-Sayeds of the world who believe in a separation of church and state. It isn't the left that threatens America with religious rule like the mullahs in Iran. It's white Christian nationalists,
Hmm.
period. So every time they say, oh, they are going to impose their religion, the only group in America attempting to impose religious tests on all of us are the right wing in America. Pete Hegseth is doing it in the military. Donald Trump is doing it throughout the government. You have laws being passed in state after state by these people that discriminate against folks who don't follow their creed. It's repulsive, it's anti-American, it's dangerous, and has absolutely nothing to do with whether somebody is Catholic or Muslim or Jewish or Hindu or Native American. It has everything to do with their own bigotry, and
Right.
it's vile and disgusting, and it's lies because no one has ever said I'm going to Congress to put someone in a burqa. Not ever. It's not come out of anybody's mouth ever, ever.
Well, and Michigan already has a Muslim member of Congress. Rashida Tlaib is a representative out of Detroit. She is the first Palestinian American representative in Congress. So this is not new for us here in Michigan. But I do want to bring up an election last week that didn't get as much attention, but had a pretty shocking result on the Republican side for a what is a swing district in Michigan, the 8th congressional district. It's in the Saginaw, Flint, Bay City area, an area that Donald Trump has done very well in and made some real headway and has made that much more competitive for Democrats. Kristen McDonald-Ribbit is a freshman member of Congress up there. The person that she will be facing is named Thomas Smith. And notably, that is not Donald Trump's chosen candidate. His chosen candidate was named Amir Hassan, but a complete unknown, Thomas Smith, who dropped out of the race, managed to beat Amir Hassan. And Edwin, I think we have a pretty good idea why that happened.
Yeah, MAGA voters are bigots. I think there's just no other way to say it. They're terrified of Muslims. They've been taught to hate them. So it doesn't matter that the party thinks that someone named Amir Hassan has actually a better chance in a general election. They're never going to do it. They're going to vote for a guy who dropped out named Smith over somebody named Hassan every single day of the week. It doesn't matter what they stand for. It doesn't matter what their chances of winning are. It is a dark moment in America. And the reason we're here, I don't blame those voters. You have the president of the United States spouting his bigoted nonsense every day, whether it
Mhm.
is about Muslims or, God forbid, Haitians. The things that
Mhm.
come out of his mouth are repulsive. And, and I say that with reference to the Declaration of Independence, right? They're
Mhm.
repulsive because we founded a nation believing that all are created equal and all are, endowed with certain unalienable rights. And all of that comes from, hint, Donald, this it comes from a religious notion of the divine spark in every human being, right? But he doesn't believe it. His government doesn't believe it. He preaches hate at every opportunity. Pete Hegseth preaches hate at every opportunity. That's why they only know how to bomb, not to make peace. And so pitting people against each other, we are going to hear so much of this for the next few months. We are going to be taught hate each other, hate each other, hate each other every day from these terrible people in the White House. Um, and you know what? I don't think we will fall. We will fall for it. There are people who do. And they voted for a man named Smith, even though nobody endorsed him and he was out of the race, because God forbid they could vote for somebody named Hassan, right? And there's an undercurrent of that, and it's being encouraged in the
Mhm.
highest places in America.
Right. right from the Oval Office itself. But that underscores the very cynical and disturbing strategy for Republicans in this Michigan U.S. Senate race. I mean, they're not being subtle about it at all. They're being just blatantly Islamophobic. And what they're hoping to do is to appeal to Republican voters who were going to sit this one out because they don't like what the president is doing, but they're saying, "Ooh, look, scary. You got to stop this." And I don't think it'll work, but it's definitely a campaign strategy. Just like Edwin, as you pointed out, another campaign strategy is that Senate Republicans are setting up fake news networks in critical states for the U.S. Senate, like Maine and Michigan and Alaska.
I want to talk about that, but let's stick with Michigan one more second. This division strategy, we have to call it what it is and see it what it is. But this was going to be a hard election anyway. And Abdul El-Sayed has an enormous amount of work to do because after all, it was a very fractious primary. The Democratic base, the Democratic voters include a lot of Black voters. And they have real concerns and concerns that America, is ignoring in lots of ways. I mean, we see it from the gerrymandering and what that's done in the South to a lot of the policies around the country. The stories of Black America aren't really being told. And this election, you have all those voters in Detroit who were excited about Kamala Harris and a movement in Michigan that didn't support her.
The uncommitted movement. And Edwin, everyone I have talked to who did doors in Detroit, that was what they heard over and over again. Uncommitted cost us Kamala Harris, and I will not vote for El-Sayed. And that is just a reality that we're going to have to deal with as Democrats. And I feel like elected leaders are doing their part. Haley Stevens hugged El-Sayed on the stage. Gretchen Whitmer already cut a video. The party is coming together. My daughter is an elected official, has gone to a ton of events where Gavin Newsom is standing there next to El-Sayed, which is kind of an odd couple in a lot of ways, both in height and politics. They're coming together, but there's a lot of work to be done with base voters because in a primary where 1.5 million votes were cast, El-Sayed won by under 15,000 votes. He's got work to do.
And they did not come from Detroit.
He's got work to do in Detroit and the rest of the Tri-County area, Macomb County, Oakland County, the rest of Wayne County, rural America, rural Michigan, where you're at right now. He did very poorly. They really expected a working class turnout. They did not come out for him. They came out for Haley Stevens. And he has work to do with women who don't have postgraduate degrees. The college professor set went for him hard. But there are a lot of other of the wine moms that are not as highly educated that went for Haley Stevens because they know her. And so I think we need to have an honest discussion about the challenges because he is someone who is very charismatic and has an incredible online following. But for those of us who do politics for a living, we know that there are serious challenges and we need to address them if we want to get them across the finish line.
Well, that's correct. And this is the most glaring example. But we do have to say to the progressive wing of Democrats, you have to look in the mirror a little bit and try and understand why working class voters and Black voters aren't following you. Like that, you have a hard sell here. And a lot of this comes down to the humility to not pretend you have answers and to go listen to people, and that's what great political leaders do anyway, and it is what Democrats know how to do. We've done it for a long time, but in our toughest elections, like Michigan, that's something that's going to have to happen, and it has to start yesterday. And it did start. It did start yesterday, but it really has to continue, and it has to be with a lot of humility and honesty to listen to people and hear what they have to say and talk about how you can meet everybody's needs.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I think that El-Sayed has shown that he knows how to excite the online base. And that kind of enthusiasm is wonderful. Now, a lot of those people need to get out and knock some doors for him.
Yep. Totally right.